Good day, lecturer. Today, our group will present our business statistic assignment titled A Comparative Study of Patient Attendance in Malaysia. Our presentation consists of two parts. First is one population mean test and second is two population mean test. Now, I will begin the presentation. In 2024, primary healthcare facility in Malaysia recorded a higher number of patient attendance. Selangor recorded a higher attendance followed by Johor and Perak. The finding can help healthcare authorities evaluate healthcare demand and improve future healthcare planning in service in Malaysia. Research objectives show that testing whether the average patient attendance approached Malaysia state assistance 5 million in 2024, and the new hypothesis show that the average patient attendance is less than or equal to 5 million. An alternative hypothesis show that the average patient attendance exceeded 5 million. Next, the type of hypothesis test we use is one population mean.
This slide shows the patient attendance data collected from 50 states and federal territories in Malaysia from Annual Report 2024 Ministry of Health Malaysia. These data were then used for the statistical analysis in this study, particularly for the one sample t-test. The independent variable in this study is the states and federal territories, while the dependent variable is patient attendance. Those variables were used in the statistical analysis of this study.
Furthermore, the one sample t-test was chosen because the study aimed to determine whether the average patient attendance approached Malaysian state assistance 5 million in 2024. Sample t-test is used to compare the sample mean with a hypothesis population mean to determine whether there is significant evidence to support the claim.
In this section, the one sample t-test calculations were carried out. First, the total patient attendance from 15 states and federal territories was calculated, giving approximately 91.9 million patients. The sample mean was then calculated as about 6.13 million patients, while the sample standard deviation was 3.53 million. Next, the t-test formula was used to calculate the t-score. The calculated t-score was 1.245, while the critical t-value was 1.761. This comparison between the calculated t-score and the critical value is the key step in determining whether the null hypothesis should be rejected or not.
So, for the decision part, we first determine the degree of freedom using the formula n-1. We get 15 minus 1 equal to 14. Then at 5% significant level, the critical t-value is 1.761. Our calculated t-value is only 1.245. Because the calculated t-value is smaller than the critical value, we fail to reject as 0. In addition, I will present the second part of our study, which is the two population mean test.
This study determined whether there is a significant difference in patient attendance between Selangor and Johor from 2019 until 2024. We use the independent sample pool t-test. The null hypothesis HO state there is no significant difference, means mean 1 equal to mean 2, while the alternative hypothesis H1 state there is a significant difference between both state, that's mean 1 not equal to mean 2.
Next, the type of hypothesis test we use is two population means.
This is data involved for two populations.
Next, this slide shows the variable involved in our study. The independent variable is the state. The dependent variable is patient attendance. The two population mean test using independent sample with equal variance was chosen because the study compared the mean patient attendance between two independent groups, which are Selangor and Johor. The population standard deviation are unknown and the sample size is small. In addition, the test assumed that both populations have approximately equal variance, making the pool t-test suitable for determining whether there is a significant difference in mean patient attendance between the two states.
For the statistical procedure, first we use pool variance formula to calculate the pool variance and pool standard deviation. Then we use a pool t-test formula, which is t equal mean 1 minus mean 2 and divided by pool standard deviation times SAYYID 1 over N1 plus 1 over N2. The mean for Selangor is 11,454,682.83, while the mean for Johor is 8,146,323.33. After substitute all the values into the formula, the t-score obtained is 3.2480, and then the HO is rejected, and there is a significant difference in patient attendance between Selangor and Johor. Degree of freedom, DF, is calculated as N1 plus N2 minus 2. Within N1 is 6 and N2 is 6, we get the F10s. At a 0.05 significant level for a two-tailed test with the F10, the critical t-value is 2.2281, and we compute t-value is 3.2480, which is greater than 2.281. Therefore, we rejected the null hypothesis HO. This means there is sufficient statistical evidence to conclude a significant difference in patient attendance between Selangor and Johor from 2019 to 2024.
Lastly, we move to the business conclusion and recommendation. For the one population test, the calculated t-value was lower than the critical value. Therefore, we failed to reject the null hypothesis. This means that there is insufficient statistical evidence to conclude that the average patient attendance across Malaysian states exceeded 5 million in 2024. However, states such as Selangor and Johor still recorded very high patient attendance. For the two population tests, the calculated t-value was greater than the critical values. Therefore, we reject the null hypothesis. This means that there is a significant difference in patient attendance between Selangor and Johor from 2019 until 2024. Selangor recorded higher patient attendance compared to Johor. Based on this finding, the Ministry of Healthcare Malaysia should allocate more healthcare resources, medical staff, and healthcare facility to high demand states to improve healthcare service equality and reduce the overcrowding. That's all from us. Thank you.